Today on Newsbytes, Lewiston, Maine shooting, manhunt on. Biden's red line crossed, now what? EV scams? Stick around for these bites and more, all on today's Newsbytes. Okay, real fast. Biden's approval rating among Democrats dropped 11 points over the past month to 75% in a new Gallup poll. The drop comes amid Biden's strong support for Israel in the Israel-Gaza conflict. Many Democrats sympathize more with Palestinians now, especially younger Americans. Biden's overall approval matched a record low 37% in October, driven by the Democrat drop-off. All right, here's the story. Last night, 18 people were killed and 13 wounded in a mass shooting at a bowling alley and bar in Lewiston, Maine. Most victims were males, with at least one female. The bowling alley was holding a youth bowling league with over 100 patrons and children. The 40-year-old shooting suspect, Robert Card, was a firearms instructor and Army reservist with a history of mental health issues, was committed 2 weeks to a mental health facility this summer, and reportedly hears voices. Previously, Robert reportedly threatened to shoot up the National Guard base in Saco, Maine. He is still at large after extensive night searches. The U.S. Coast Guard is now currently hunting for Robert in the Kennebec River, assuming he may have escaped aboard his 15-foot Bayliner boat, which is missing. Nearly the entire state of Maine is on lockdown, from schools to businesses. After Biden gave a warning to Iran about harming U.S. troops in the Middle East, quote, a few troops reported symptoms of traumatic brain injury following rocket and drone attacks launched by Iran proxies. Here's what Kirby from the White House said today. Watch.
John, the president said that if Iran or its proxies attacked U.S. troops, that we would respond. So what is he waiting for exactly?
He did say that.
Where's the response?
He said that. And he said that we will.
Heeding the warning is the response?
Jackie, come on now.
It's not a question.
I'm not going to telegraph punches here from the podium. We have responded and retaliated in the past, quite aggressively, in fact, back in March. And as the president said, we will not hesitate to protect our troops and our facilities.
Okay, here's the latest. The Texas Policy Foundation released a study analyzing the full costs of 2021 electric vehicles, including subsidies and regulatory credits. It estimates the average EV model vehicle accrued nearly $50,000 in subsidies and excess costs over 10 years, including $27,900 in regulatory credits, $9,000 in direct federal and state subsidies, plus $11,800 in charging infrastructure costs, and $4,600 in extra charging equipment and electricity costs. In total, it equates to EVs costing $17.33 per gallon of gas over 10 years. Literally, regulatory credits, subsidies, and hidden costs add over $50,000 to the 10-year cost of an average electric vehicle compared to a gasoline vehicle. All right, and in case you missed it, Who's Tedros calls for the national ratification of the pandemic treaty as, quote, disinformation erodes trust between people, governments, and institutions. At the same time, 200 expert journals want the WHO to declare a climate health emergency. Take a listen.
WHO's member states are negotiating a new pandemic accord and amendments to the international health regulations to strengthen the legal framework for the global response to pandemics. And we can't stop there. We must follow through with national ratification and accountable implementation. The COVID-19 pandemic upended lives and livelihoods, disrupting societies and economies. It eroded trust between people, governments, and institutions, fueled by a torrent of mis- and disinformation. The next pandemic is not a question of if, but of when. And we cannot afford to repeat the same mistake of the past.
Okay, and amongst all that, Putin approved a new climate doctrine for Russia. The primary long-term goal is to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060, in line with China, and 30 years after the West's 2030 goal. Emphasizing climate change issues require global participation, and Russia is involved in collective measures, says Putin. The doctrine states climate change poses threats to Russia's security that must be responded to, citing future climate policy changes for Russia. The doctrine replaces Russia's previous climate doctrine from 2009. Will any of this even be relevant in 10 years? Those are today's bites, which are on our website at Disclose.tv. Subscribe and leave those comments below.